Okay, so I'm going to show you some things you can do to improve the video quality of your Minecraft videos. For example, getting rid of black bars when uploading. You can get rid of those. You can increase the quality to 720p, and it's just going to look a little bit better. Now, the first thing you do when you open Sony Vegas is you're going to be here, and you want to go to File and Open. There's also a little button here with looks like a folder. If you click on this, it will open it up. Now, if it's your first time using Vegas, it's going to open up from here. You want to go to C. If you record with Fraps, go to Fraps, and then Movies, and click on your clip. If you do not record in Fraps, you're going to have to find your movies. I don't know where they save, so you double click on this, and it's going to load up the video, bring it into Sony Vegas, and then add it to the timeline. So here it's loaded up in Vegas, and it's probably adding it to the timeline, and should be here soon. There it is. So it's automatically put it into the timeline, and the first thing you want to do, as you can see, the black bars at the top and bottom, and those would be in the YouTube video. You don't want those. So you want to right click on the video in the timeline, go to Properties, and disable resample. Now this is only going to remove ghosting, which isn't a big problem. It just makes your videos look a little bit better. You don't have to do it. I personally like doing it. But the one problem is if you add another clip in here, like if it's this clip plus you want to add another one. For example, if I was to load up another one, it wouldn't put it in the timeline. It would be over here, and I would drag it over here and add it in. And then you'd have to go to Properties of this clip and disable resample. As you can see, it put this clip to Smart Resample. For every clip you add in there, you're going to have to disable resample. So here we are, we're back to this one, and the second thing we want to do is go to Project Video Properties. If you click on this or hit Alt-Enter, it brings this up. Now this is the default settings. As you can see, it's 720 by 480, which would be a 480p video on YouTube, but we want a 720p. Now, you have to have a screen resolution. As you can see, go to Property, or right-click on your desktop, go to Screen Resolution. Now, mine is 1680 by 1050. You just want to make sure that the first number is always higher than 1280, and that or is 1280, and that the second number, it has to be higher than 720. Because Minecraft does not take up the entire screen. It does on the width, but in height it has a little bar at the top. So you want to make sure that the second number, the 1050 I have, is higher than 720. If it is, you should be good. So we go back into Video Properties, and you change your width to 1280 and your height to 720. Then I like to change the pixel aspect ratio to 1. It makes it look just a tad better. It's not very noticeable, but it's up to you. And the last thing we have here is the frame rate. Now, I know some people record in 30 frames a second. I personally record in 60. So I would change this to 59.90 double NTSC. If you record in 30, leave it at 29.97 NTSC, not double NTSC. So make sure you leave it in the project settings, and then hit apply, and as you can see, it shrunk the video down in the preview over here. Hit OK, and instead of having black bars at the tops and bottom, it now has black bars on the sides. Those will not show up in the YouTube video. Don't worry about those. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into this Track FX button over here. It's a line with 2 dots on the sides. If you click that, it's going to bring up this. There's a bunch of options. Sometimes you'll have more. And there's 3 things you can do to bring out to change color correct the video. And to do that, there is Sony Brightness and Contrast, there is Sony Color Corrector, and Sony Color Corrector Secondary. I personally like using the secondary better, but not for Minecraft. I just use the brightness and contrast. The color corrector allows you to bring out the colors. As you see, if you watch the preview box, as I increase the saturation, the colors are brighter. I wouldn't put it at 3, but put it to whatever you feel looks better. So you can change that. Now the secondary has a lot more options. As you can see, it has this limit saturation, limit hue, and limit luminosity or luminosity. I don't know what it is, but you don't really have to mess with those. Here's just the regular color corrector. All you need to change is the saturation. If you're going into caves, or you're in a nighttime world, you can change up the contrast, or the gamma, and that's going to bring out more, it's going to brighten up your world a little bit. It's going to make it look better. Now, you only want to do that if you're at a nighttime video, if you're doing a lot of cave exploring in that video. Other than that, I wouldn't change the gamma any. So, I'm going to remove that. Now, the contrast, this is personally what I use, because it brings out the darker colors, and I like to go from 0.04 to 0.07 and change it around. I wouldn't go above 0.1, or the sand in the videos looks pretty, it starts getting really bright. So after you've done all that, and you've color corrected your video, you disable resample, you change the project settings, you want to render it. So go to File, Render As, and change this to WMV, Windows Media Video. Make sure it's the Windows Media Video and not Windows Media Audio. Click on the video and then click on Custom. You want to make sure you do this because it doesn't take your project settings and put them in here. It does take the width and the height and the pixel aspect ratio, but it usually does not take the frame rate. Now, I record in 60 frames, so I change this to 60. If you record in 30, make sure you change this down to 29.97 for NTSC, and just double check, make sure this is 1280 by 720, and the pixel aspect ratio is 1. The second thing you want to do, or the last thing, is the video smoothness. It should automatically start at 90. Now, if you've already rendered a video and you've already put it at 100, it should save that, and you won't have to mess with that. I like to put it at 100. It makes it a little bit smoother. It does add to your file size, but I think it's worth it. Now, you can mess around with the bitrate and index, summary, and project, but I don't ever touch those because I don't know what they do. So I wouldn't mess with those at all. Now, you can mess around with the audio, change it to quality VBR or CBR, but I wouldn't really mess around with this. I always choose CBR and then the highest one you can with Windows Media Audio 9.2. It always works for me, so I always just choose that. Now, if it doesn't work, you might want to mess around with those settings, and then you hit OK, and then rename your file, render settings, and save it to where you want. I personally always save my stuff to the desktop, and then I upload it to YouTube, and then I move it. But you can go, for example, Computer, C, Fraps. If you want to save it back into the movie folder, you can. That's all up to you, and then just hit save, and as you can see, it starts rendering. Now, when you render the settings, it depends on your computer of how fast it's going to go. I don't have the best computer, so a 1-minute clip can take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to render. The better your computer, the better CPU you have, the faster it's going to render. For example, if you have a quad-core CPU, it's going to render maybe a 1-minute clip in 5 minutes, maybe even less. So that's all up to your computer, and as you can see, there's an open button here, but it's grayed out. When this video is done rendering, this will not be grayed out. You can click it, and it will play the video in Windows Media Player, and you can watch the video you just rendered. If it looks fine, go ahead and upload it to YouTube, and you should be good. So that's everything. I hope I covered and helped some people. See you later.